graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
If you're a fan of mine, you would understand the fucking pain that I'm going through with Jackass putting me through the ringer, dude. If anybody cares about me at all, then throw me a fucking bone and send $1 to this Venmo. And the more you send, the radder shit we can do. And I give everyone fucking credit for it. Like, I can't compete with their $10 million budget, ladies and gentlemen, but if I had that, I would blow them out of the fucking water. Give me a new mission. I was so bored at home. I was living in Groundhog's Day. It sucked. And, yeah, Nikki found me on the interweb typing in how to tie a noose. That's why we moved to Oceanside, and I met new friends that I love. Jackass does not care about me. Understand that, ladies and gentlemen. Knoxville doesn't give a fuck about me. Spike Jones does not give a fuck about me. And Tremaine, I still don't know yet. Steve-O, I love him. Pontius, yes. Weeman, fuck yeah. Poopies is awesome. Fucking Dave England is awesome. Danger Aaron is awesome. Preston, awesome. Everybody, what the fuck? It's like, it was like my family that won't let me in because they say I'm out there being a jackass on TMZ. Well, so I can't be in Jackass because I'm out there being a jackass? I can't be on Jackass because I'm out there being a jackass. And at this point, I'm thinking, dude, all press is good press is what I thought. Which I guess obviously is not true because I thought unless you're a murderer or a rape artist, then that's bad. Anything else is good. If I wind up getting beat up drunk at a bar, fucking hell to the yeah, I had a blast. You know, like, I love that shit. I live for that shit. Fucking, if everybody loved everybody and everything was so boring, it would just be so boring. You need an asshole. Or else there's nothing to talk about. There has to be an asshole. Or else there's nothing to talk about. If anybody cares about me at all, then let's beat them at their own fucking game, Yellow Wolf. Let's beat them at their own game, MGK. Let's beat them at their own game, Post Malone. Let's beat them at their own fucking game, Hank Von Helvete, Turbo Negro, even him. I haven't talked to Villavallo in a long time, but hell, man, give me a call. For fuck's sake, Johnny Football, Randy. Mana, Sounds, the Rakes. I can go on and on and on, and I will. Thank God I moved here because I've found happiness again. And I'm skating again because I'm off the pills that Paramount made me take on film every morning, causing me to be dizzy as fuck with stiff muscles and suicidal tendencies. Were they just trying to keep me at bay? What were they doing? Who do they think that they are? Boycott Jackass. Duh. If you care about me, you would just boycott Jackass. And then I'll just be back 100%. And then we'll do this together. Send me $1. $1 goes a long way if everybody fucking does it. It's pretty simple. Fuck it. Send me fucking... how many followers do I have? If all you guys send me $100, dude, I can do this. I can fucking do it. Let me do it. The more money you send, the radder shit that can happen. Help me out. Throw me a bone for the love of Phoenix, the goddamn wolf. And on and on. Over and out. Loomis.
Sparky true.
Stay the fuck at home.
Your podcast will fail.
It's just a coincidence that you were talking about the Jack and Triumph show and I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, guy who makes all those unlistenable podcasts over at smodcast.com, and you're listening to the Two Strangers, One Podcast. This is podcasting.
You're listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes or on the Stitcher app for Android devices. Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net. Now, here's Chris Cologne and Paul Pasquillo.
Well, hello and welcome to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
And Paul, there is no way home. Just announced today. And I know this part should have waited for the nerdy news, but I mean, it literally just happened like hours before the podcast started. They finally announced Spider-Man 3, which is so weird to say because it's not really Spider-Man 3. They're not calling it Spider-Man 3. It's Spider-Man No Way Home. But for us, it's Spider-Man 3. But when I think of Spider-Man 3, I also think of Topher Grace and Tobey Maguire doing emo. Tobey Maguire, emo Tobey Maguire, and Topher Grace, and we knew that was gonna suck because I mean, like what the punk from the fucking That 70s Show, there was no way he was gonna play a convincing Eddie Brock. But announced today from Marvel, the Spider-Man, shut up Ziggy, is it is going to be No Way Home. Because you know what it is? I think the cat hears me talking. She doesn't understand the concept that I'm on a microphone, so I think she thinks I'm talking to her. And so she may jump up on me at any second. She's trying to get up on me right now, which is a pain in the ass. And it's not like it's cold right now, but we have come out of a cold snap. Like the past, this is like the first day or second day in the past God. Week and a half where we actually had temperatures over 30 degrees. And let me tell you, go on.
No, I was going to say, don't get me wrong. I liked the snow. Didn't really like the cold temperature, but I've been inside a lot, so it didn't really affect me. But, on the side of our house, ice, and I'm just yeah, let's get some 40, 50-degree days, burn that stuff off.
Oh, so you slip on ice, you can only see yourself.
Oh, man, there was
you
some
have a landlord
big icicles on the side of the house that I had to knock down. They had, no joke, huge. Mm-hmm. See, now you know how it is. Now you know how I feel when my cat is doing that. Actually, ironically, she's right next to the mic. She's not saying a word. So.
Well, with me, so last week my daughter was on vacation and it snowed every day, but we had food in the house and shit, and she's home and there's no reason to leave the house. So right. The snow built up. And the way my house is set up, I have off-street parking where the back of my house is, there's a little lot for cars. None of my neighbors in any of my units have cars right now. One of my neighbors did, but I guess their car broke down or whatever. So it's just me, and I have this little roadway that leads from the side, from the street to the side of my house to behind my house, which is good, like I said, because so the drug dealers across the street, I could park behind my house and nobody sees me. And I like that. I hate, and I've lived in pretty bad neighborhoods, and, one thing about bad neighborhoods is always people watching what you're doing. There's always people looking and seeing everything that you're doing. So shut up, Ziggy. Jesus Christ.
I know the title of this episode. Ziggy, shut up.
And so, I like the idea of want to drive my car to the back of the house, and then, I can go in through the back door, and there's nobody there, there's no little looky-loos. Remember Animal Planet, they'd have all those little families of lemmings or whatever, and they all just kind of all look in one direction and shit like that. That's what I feel like when you live in a bad neighborhood and there's people, especially in the summertime where people don't want to be in their houses. They're just because they don't have air conditioning, so everyone sits outside in their porch and they fucking watch everything that you're fucking doing. So ever since I moved to this new apartment, I love parking in the back where no one can really see because I'm out of sight, out of mind. So the week goes by, and it was a very lazy week. I said, fuck it, it's the kids off from school. I'm not gonna fucking do anything. It's snowing outside. I don't want to go outside anyway. So then Friday comes along, and I'm like, you know what? I've been putting it off all fucking week. I'm gonna get up. I got a good night's sleep. I went to sleep at a decent fucking hour. I went to bed before 4 o'clock in the morning. Got a good night's sleep. Yada yada yada. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna fucking clean the house. I'm gonna get shit done today. Get up, have breakfast, take a shower, start cleaning, pull my fucking back out. And my back is still fucked up, and that's been a couple days now. So now, and then it's bad if I pulled my back, and now we have to go food shopping and shit like that. Now I gotta fucking shovel. Because since I'm the only person, since, my neighbors don't have cars, who's going to fucking, I'm not going to shovel a driveway if I don't have a car. And my landlords, they pretty much told me, like, even when I moved into the place, they're like, we don't pay for any services. So if you want to park your car back there, you're the one responsible for shoveling the side. Fuck. So with the sword, with and then it's me being a fat fuck, like from the last episode called Fat Fuck. I mean, it's me being a fat fuck, which is why my back is all jacked up. But, shoveling the side of the house in the snow. And speaking of snow, we live up north and we drive and my car gets stuck in snow. And that was a funny thing. Okay, so as of, like, even today, the back of my house isn't, like, I shoveled just enough for my car to, like, pull in and pull out. And I got stuck in a little bit of snow today, so I'm running my tires. I have an old ass car. And
Chris always has old ass car.
Yeah, I come from the firm belief that you buy a used car, so you pay, what do they call that? Basic coverage, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word when you it's the minimal amount of insurance, like, just legal enough, just enough to be legal.
I don't know what it's called, but it's like, it's really cheap. Like, you're only basically, it just covers everything that you need covered, basically, and that's it.
Yeah, and I've always driven clunkers. I've never had a lease on a car or anything like that, and so I've had the most basic coverage on my car, and I drive every car. I've never sold a car after I've owned it. I've donated cars because that's a whole other thing where, like the car, it's so fucked up that for the price for you to pay to fix it, it's not worth fixing. So you donate it, like in New York City. Do they have it up here? The Cars for Kids. There's like a stupid gym.
Yep.
Cars for, well, so yeah, there's Cars for Kids, and I don't know if that was just a New York City thing, and places like that where you go and you donate the car, and they don't give you money, they give you like a thing you can use as a tax write-off the next year. And the good thing is that, like, if you try to sell that hunk of junk, maybe you could get $300 for it, $400, but, like, the good thing about that is they'll give you the book value. So even though it's a hunk of shit and you couldn't get $300 for it, they'll give you, $2,000 write-off or whatever the case may be. So I've always driven fucking hunk of junk pieces of shit.
Yes, you have.
So my car now is 17, 18 years old, my car is now. And so I'm spinning my wheels or whatever, and, like, when I was driving to go take care of something for my daughter, not only was my check engine light on, and my check engine light has been on for the past couple months, it was flashing. And I've never, in the history of all the junker cars that I've owned, have seen a flashing check engine light now. And the whole thing is that means that my car's gonna fucking die any fucking day now. I feel it, and my tires are bald, and it's already snowing and shit like that. But what kills me is that...
Well, that's why you got stuck.
Well, yeah, and the car, it's old and everything like that, but, like, so... And don't get me wrong, I've been going online, and I'm looking for a car. And I don't have much... But, I have a couple bucks that, I try to live very cheaply, and, and I try to, budget myself where I can, if something like this happens, I can, if the car breaks down, hopefully I should be able to take care of it. But, I'm looking at cars, and I cannot believe, and I know maybe, I don't know if it's the economy or whatever the case may be, how can anybody charge, okay, if a car's over 10 years old, you have no right charging more than $3,000 for it. And some places I've seen even, like, more than $4,000. You got a 15-year-old car and you want $4,000, you could kiss my ass. I don't give a fuck if it was a fucking, if it was a fucking, what was the big pimped out Cadillacs, that
I was going to say, like, a Lincoln Navigator, maybe.
Yeah, well, my God, my brain is just not working tonight. The one that all the rappers used to wear, like, they came out, the Escalades. Yeah, I don't give a fuck if it's an Escalade. If it's a 2010 Escalade, it should not cost more than $3,000. I don't give a fuck if it's tip top condition. But it seems, that's just my opinion. No car over 10 years old should be more than $3,000, or definitely no more than $4,000. And it's something I can't afford right now. And I'm just looking for a fucking car, but, like, all these listings, like any car less than 10 years old, these people want ridiculous amounts for it. And then you go to the bank and like, I just want like, and let's just say, I find a car on like $6,000 and I budget myself, okay, I could, make payments on a $6,000 car. But like, banks don't want to give you a $6,000 loan. They want you to get, the $16,000 loan or the $30,000, can I just get can I get a $6,000 loan? Isn't that so fucking hard? I budget, I can show you my fucking money. Here's my bank statements, or if I go to the bank that I actually do where like my main checking and savings are at. You see, I'm not in debt. I'm not, I have a couple bucks. I could put something down on the car, but can I get a $6,000 loan without fucking having to sell my ass on the street? I don't have $6,000 out of pocket. I don't. So, it's like, the little guy gets fucked. And then I did try to apply for a car loan at a credit union, because that's, a lot of people say, if you're gonna, don't go to a bank, go to a credit union. So I went, the big famous credit union up here is the ESU and ESL, excuse me. And is it ESL or ESU? What am I thinking? I confused. One's a college and one's a secondary language if you speak Spanish or something like that. English is a secondary language. One of the ESL, I think it's called. So I've tried, I went to the credit union, went to the ESL, and then she's like, oh, we're gonna need 2 pay stubs. And I'm like, well, I have unemployment, so I have the unemployment statement that I could download online. Oh no, it actually has some actual pay stubs. And I'm like, well, what if I needed a car to get to work and I haven't gotten my first 2 pay stubs yet? Because, some jobs, they give you that lag week. So, like, you'll start a job and, like, the first, like, 3 weeks or so, 4 weeks, you don't even get paid yet because they lag your paycheck. So what if it's my first month on the job and I need to get to work, but I don't have the 2 pay stubs for a car? It's like for the loan. It's very frustrating. So, I'm just going to drive this fucking thing until it leaves me on the side of the road. Hopefully I don't fucking die, and I'll just,
I'm shaking my head at you right now.
Hopefully it'll die safe. And I don't have anybody to co-sign a loan, you know what I'm saying? So I'm a grown-ass man. I'm trying to fucking handle shit myself. But it's like, they just, the system's rigged. The system's rigged, Paul. But speaking of snow...
actually, I was going to say, like, that's going to be interesting because we're going to have to go get a new car at some point here in the next couple months. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I'm furloughed right now. It's not like I'm not getting money, but I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, do I need to have a pay stub? I don't think I need a pay stub. I think I just need to pass a credit check. As long as I pass the credit check, I'm good. And my credit's really good. I'm not going to tell everybody what my fucking credit is because fuck you people. You don't need to know my credit. But it's just, I worry about that because we do need a new vehicle, and not a new vehicle, used car, but a newer vehicle.
New to you.
Right. And, I just worry that we're not going to be able to get one because of, obviously, not me still being furloughed.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, I went to ESL and they're like, we need 2 pay stubs. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, and that's the whole thing is like, to me, it just means like to me, when I hear we need 2 pay stubs, that means we need proof of income. And I'm like, okay, I've been on unemployment for the past year. Here, I could show you the past unemployment, and then especially now that, we do have the PUA kicking in, so that certainly fucking helps. So like, here's reoccurring payments to my account that's coming in. How is this no different than a pay stub, Right. But apparently, they want fucking pay stubs, and it's like, I have income. I don't have pay stubs.
You're going directly to the bank to get one, right?
Yeah, like, I was reading a thing like, and you go to the car dealerships and of course, heavens forbid you go to a used car dealership website and look for a car that's less than $3,000. That's how they fuck you. They want to get you to the lot. Yeah. They want to get you to the lot and whatever. I mean, I'm pretty sure certain used car lots probably do have cars for $3,000. But it's not on the website. But the whole thing is, and now because to get the loan from the bank, you have to have the VIN number for the car.
Right.
And because you don't want to go to the dealership there and say, oh, what financing options do you have? Because then they bend you over the table and fucking, give you the high hard one. So it's sort of, I was looking on these, watching videos and stuff like that online. They're like, find the car that you like, get the VIN number, get the loan from a credit union, and so, but then once again, ESL says, let us have your pay stubs, sir. And I'm like, I don't have fucking pay stubs. I have income. I don't have pay stubs. So, it's a fucking damned if you do, damned if you don't, situation. So I'm just frustrated.
I mean, honestly, what I used to do, so I don't know if I've ever talked about it on the podcast. God knows COVID is kind of, I don't remember a lot of things. Hell, I don't even know if I'll remember my job when I go back here.
Which is a legit, I legit, like, I'm like, man, when I go back to work, I'm going to have to fucking remember my entire job. But go on, I'm sorry.
Well, I'll talk about my job here, but, so when I used to do newspaper, what I figured out was that because I had such a big route and then I took on the second route, I needed to get another vehicle because I didn't want to run mine into the ground, my good vehicle into the ground. So what I did, and I bought two separate Explorers. I ran them both, one I got in an accident, the other one, it just died. The transmission went on it. So I know what you're going through. But I only paid like $1,000 for both of them. So, I mean, and I paid that in cash. I got rid of it. I used it until obviously that happened. And then, it is what it is. It's just, you got to do what you got to do, man. And I don't think, you got to just kind of figure out what you can do for, what you have. I mean, basically, whatever you get back from taxes, if there's anything, take that money and go get a car. That's my best advice, honestly, and just kind of,
Shut up, Ziggy.
And just, go from there. That's all. I'm telling you, the title of this podcast would be Shut Up, Ziggy. I'm just saying.
No kidding, no.
Yeah. So yeah. And so, all right, motherfucker! Oh, she just jumped on me with her claws, trying to get up like on my shoulder. It's like, and it's not like cold, but she likes, when it's chillier outside, she likes to snuggle. But it's like I'm not in snuggle mode. I'm in podcast mode. I'm talking into the mic. Does the mic sound fine, Chris Mounts? How do I sound now, Chris Mounts? No. Because he was complaining about the microphone, because I've been using a couple episodes back. I used the microphone I'm using now, but I've had the same microphone for about 9 years now, as the podcast hits its 9-year anniversary. I've had the same microphone. Her name's Lucille, and I feel I don't know. I like the way the microphone. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the microphone sounds like shit. I don't know. It doesn't sound bad on my end. But then again, I don't know. So I'm using not new microphone, but once again, new to me. It's the recorder that I've taken to Comic-Con, but I can double it. I could use it as a USB microphone. But speaking of snow, I've been trying to make this segue for a little while now. Speaking of snow has rocked the Midwest and southern states of the United States. Texas being one of them, and it kills me because my daughter's aunt, who has recently come back into my daughter's life, only because because she was sort of estranged from my daughter's mom. They were sisters, but one sister stopped talking to the other, the sister that moved to Texas, stopped talking to my daughter's mother, because, there were family issues, and my daughter's mother was a hardhead and hard to deal with. And then after, the passing of my ex, the aunt has come back into the life, and, she's meeting her nieces and nephews that she's never met before, because, they weren't born yet when her and the sister stopped speaking to each other. And we've built a very, friendly, relationship, and we share stories about, my daughter's mother and stuff like that. And, it's weird, it's nice talking to someone who's known her when growing up and stuff like that. And, but she lives in Texas. And the funny thing is that, she actually came and she visited Rochester right around Valentine's Day. And, cause Valentine's Day was my daughter's mother's birthday, so she felt it was appropriate to, come up and for her sister's birthday, to honor her sister's memory, to spend some time with the kids and stuff like that. So, while she was in Rochester, it was literally colder in Texas than it was in Rochester. And, then that was President's Day or whatever. So she had the time, and she went back to Texas, and the way, like, she didn't have heat, she didn't have electricity, she didn't have running water. I think she got her electricity back, she got her heat back, but running water was still an issue. Which, and I hate to, they just go outside and grab some snow and fucking heat it up or whatever. But, and look, and they're like, like they say, oh, people in New York are teasing Texas and they've never had, hello, we've had blackouts. Back when fucking Hurricane Sandy, and when that fucked up like New York City's area, my mom lived without electricity and heat for like weeks. Remember when Hurricane Sandy hit New York, and I remember growing up, like the building I lived in, we've always had running water. But it was a big building and there was a lot of floors and stuff like that. But there'd be days where we wouldn't have hot water. So I remember that I had days growing up as a child where you boil the water on the fucking stove in a big pot. And you bring the fucking pot to the fucking tub, and then you stand in the tub and you use the fucking, you use the big pot of hot water to kind of like give yourself a bath, you dunk the rag in the water and clean your body, and then when all is said and done, you take the fucking pot of hot water and pour it over your head and shit like that. You have to learn how to fucking live like that. I mean, some people are forced to live like that more than, but I'm saying maybe it's, since I dealt with it enough as a kid, telling me that I don't have hot running water, okay, incredibly inconvenient. It's not like it's the end of the world because there's ways around it. If you can heat up the water, you're good. I've taken, I've taken the hot pot bath, growing up and the way I've grown up and stuff like that. So, I mean, I felt bad that she went back, and I was surprised even with all the craziness she was able to get on a plane and go back to Texas. But, and quite frankly, she's probably the only person in Texas I give a shit about, so it being a red state and stuff like that, and their obvious power, now all these problems are shining big and bright about how they didn't want a regulated system. They didn't want to be the government regulating their system, so they kind of, they wanted to have their own independent system, and then look what happens. The first big bump in the road, everything fucking shuts down. Their wonderful fucking representative or whatever, Senator Ted Cruz, the minute the shit hits the fucking fan, this fucking punk is jumping on a plane, saying, the kids wanted to go to Cancun. What kids on this fucking planet tells their parents, I want to go to Cancun? Now, mind you, last minute, this is, most people when you go on vacation, you plan it out at least 6 months in advance. Or some people plan out this shit like a year in advance because you get the best deals and you could, but at the very least, not 6 months in advance. And a kid is going to tell their parent, I want to go to Cancun. If I told my parents, the apartment's cold, I want to go to Cancun, my parents would tell me to go fuck myself. Is to wrap yourself in 10 fucking blankets and think fucking warm thoughts, but it's so obviously full of shit that he said, my kids wanted to go to Cancun. How fucking spoiled are your kids that they asked to go to Cancun and you jump and hop on a plane and make a last minute plan to a resort in Cancun with a family of 4? I mean, how stupid do you have to be when you're representing Texas and you leave and your people are looking at you going, hey, Rick, what are you doing? Look, there are a lot of things. There are some things I like about AOC. There are some things I don't like about AOC. The one thing I like about AOC is she will throw it in another politician's face and destroy them and make them look really fucking bad. She made Ted Cruz look real fucking bad. Yeah, raised $4 million. It was like $4 or $5 million. Jesus Christ, dude, somebody from outside of your state raised more money than you did. And you haven't even tried. He was on, they were doing hearings on the riots at the Capitol in the Senate, and CNN panned over to him, and he's on his cell phone texting. I'm like, dude, you're just stop, just be done, just go away. You've obviously checked out. His wife is a big wig at Goldman Sachs. He has so much money, and then it just proves he's just proved how a lot of people are going to react when the shit really does hit the fan. You know, like if we don't do anything about climate change, if we don't do anything about just like I said, rising temperatures, shit like that, the rich are gonna find a way to fucking leave or just go to another part of the planet that is still inhabitable, and they're gonna leave the poor. Like, you know, he left his whole constituency behind. They're like, just fuck you.
Well, let me say this, like, and I'm sure you're on the same. I'm not saying that him, like, I'm not blaming the electric problems on him. Okay, that's clearly the electric company and the Texas government
not wanting to regulate.
Right, not willing to regulate things, and that's their fault. That's I'm sorry, but that's your fault screwing it over. And I understand. I get it. You want to try to, you don't want to regulate things too much, and I understand that, and I think even in Texas, you don't pay a tax or the taxes are very low, if I remember correctly. But I don't know that for sure. But it's kind of sad when you don't winterize your electrical grid just in case something like this happens. And I know it hasn't happened a lot, and it's very rare, it seems like. But you're understanding why you need to winterize stuff. And like, you got people that have like $3,000 bills and they didn't even have any electricity. It's like, how do you charge somebody when they didn't even have electricity in the first place?
Well, that's the whole. Okay, so that is, and I had that later on in my notes. But Leah, let's talk about that for a second. Okay, so these people got stuck. The people who were doing the auto pay, and see, this is the shit that I don't fucking like. And I guess it's one of those things where, like, it's good that I'm broke and I'm poor because, like, you know, I check my account fucking, if not every day, every other day. I know where every fucking penny is going. And I still, to this day, I do not sign up for auto pay for anything. I don't give a fuck. Even I need, like, my cell phone, I know it, because you know what it is? I'm so broke I may not have that money in there when the fucking account comes. And T-Mobile may have to fucking wait for their money. I may not have it on Friday. You're gonna have to wait the next week Tuesday. When my unemployment kicks in, then you can get T-Mobile's a big giant fucking corporation. You can do without my fucking $75, for a couple of days. You're gonna be all right, son. So these people they sign up for auto pay. And then they sign up for, I'm pretty sure there's also, like the automatic billing. And I always hate that shit.
Yep.
When, like, they don't check your fucking meter, and then they send you an estimated bill. And why is it all fucking year long? Like, my old apartment, it would float around 60 to 80, sometimes $100. Then I do the one month the guy doesn't come, for whatever reason the guy doesn't come, and it's $220. Where the fuck did you get $220 when all year long it's been 60, 80, 100, 60, 80, 100, 60, 80, 100, and you're sending me a double fucking bill, and so they love that shit. They love that because it's convenience, and we're going paperless, so we're gonna save the fucking planet and all this shit. And now, mind you, it's not like the company's not going to, I mean, maybe now because it's a giant, it's all over the news, so they're going to give people their money back. But generally, like what's happened to me, like when they've taken automatic pay or whatever, and they'll take something like that, they'll go, oh, then we'll just credit you like that, like that month that would be like $220. Oh, we'll credit you that. So next month, when your bill's back to $60, you don't have to pay it. And if it's only $60, you don't have to pay your bill for a couple of months. Fuck you. Give me my fucking money back.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they set it up. They get people so fucking used to technology. And once again, this is one of the good reasons. I mean, maybe I'm glad that I'm poor, so I keep an eye on shit like that. But, when they're like rich people. But of course, in this situation, it's ridiculous. Where like a guy got hit for like $17,000 or some shit, some ridiculous fucking number like that. Shit's, there's a lot of people who couldn't even take a $1,700 hit. I couldn't take a $170 hit. But it's, so it shows the fucking soulless cocksucker that they are. And if it wasn't on the fucking news and if it wasn't plastered all over the place, they'd be taking that money and they just hold on to it. Oh, well, let's hold on to your money. We'll give you credit for next month. We'll give you credit for next month. Fuck you. Give me my fucking money back.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've never, ever signed up for one of those auto pay things.
Yeah, I mean,
kiss my ass.
I mean, I the only thing I actually signed up for autopay on was my cell phone bill. And the reason I set it up on my cell phone bill is because I kept fucking forgetting to pay it. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna put it on there and do it. The rest of the time, I either call in or I'll do online. I'll pay my bills that way. So
yeah, and they incentivize it. Oh, we'll take $10. We'll take $10% off your credit. Or we'll give you 10% credit.
For paperless or something like that. And I'm just
you pay 10% less. Yeah, and until the time comes when you fucking need that money because somebody didn't pay somebody else or whatever, and you don't get your proper paycheck or some shit like that, and then you're when you're living paycheck to paycheck, that's $75 fucking could really be used for something else. I could live without a cell phone. I can't live without fucking food. That sounds, since I'm a fat fuck. So
I might not be able to live without Wi-Fi now, but that's another story.
So now, okay, now these right-wing assholes, these Fox News fuckfaces, which we'll get to that in a little bit when it's time to talk about Rush Limbaugh, but these, in this one in particular, what's this fucking asshole's name? Tucker Carlson. Mm-hmm. And now, mind you, it's all over Fox News anyway, but Tucker Carlson in particular is like trying to blame this on the Green Deal. Oh, these are windmills that are getting frozen in the wintertime. And windmills. And meanwhile, fucking in Wisconsin, what I'm saying? In Alaska, they have fucking windmills that, run year round on the fucking coldest of colds. Mm-hmm. And they're going to try, and you're going to tell me in Texas, big oil Texas, Republican big oil Texas, that the Green Deal is going to take their fucking grid down?
Wait. Let me. I remember this story, and it made me laugh because they're trying to say. So I looked this up because I do research, unlike some people that are morons. So the grid. 20% of the grid is renewable energy. The other 80% is conventional electricity and nuclear power and whatnot. So you're saying to me that 20% of the grid shut down 100% of the electrical grid in some of these cities. Mm-hmm. How does that make sense? It doesn't. So stop trying to just throw stuff out there and be like, oh, maybe this will stick. No, it doesn't stick. Like, even the stupidest of the stupidest people out there is sitting there going, dude, just tell the truth. We know what's going on. We live in Texas. Shut the fuck up and just say the truth.
Like the fucking balls on this cocksucker to say, oh, this is because of the Green Deal. Yeah, and you can't get any more red-blooded American yeehaw America than fucking Texas, and you're gonna tell me that the Green Deal did this and not giant oil?
Let's face it. Let's just face it. Like, it's you can't really blame it on. You can't blame it on renewable energy because Texas doesn't use a lot of renewable energy. They should because they have a lot of open land and it would make sense, but they don't. And it doesn't make any sense to blame it on that. Plus, look, it kills me because it's like these Republicans are like, well, this Green New Deal, Green New Deal, Green New Deal. What Green New Deal? It hasn't even been put in place. By the way, Biden's not going to be able to do a lot of shit because he doesn't have a super majority in either house. So it just makes me laugh. Like, there's so much shit I want to talk about politically. It's not even funny because it just makes me laugh because I just don't get people,
Yeah, so. It's just to paint like the boogeyman as a Green Deal is fucking. It's fucking disgusting. And the whole thing is that there's people who believe this shit fucking wholeheartedly. And so I won't even get into that. Okay, and let's talk about what I just mentioned. Rush Limbaugh, burn in fucking hell, Rush Limbaugh. I hope the fucking devil shoves a pineapple up your ass every day, right? Like at the end of Little Nicky when it's like Hitler, because Rush Limbaugh was the biggest fucking piece of shit. And the whole thing is because nowadays when we have Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity and fucking Ben Shapiro and Alex Jones and InfoWars and all these people who spread tons of misinformation, people who placate a white supremacist audience and they're also scaring the shit out of old people about the Mexican boogeyman and the Muslim boogeyman.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity and Ben Shapiro don't have jobs if it wasn't for Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh started this shit. He was a big Reagan guy, and then after the we had he started his shit back in the 90s, talking shit about the Clintons and blaming everything on the fucking Clinton. And it was one of those deals where and the whole thing is, okay, so you build a radio show and you're conservative talk radio and you're talking about the Clintons and and don't get me wrong, I know it's gonna sound crazy for me to say, I know there's good Republicans out there. I know there's good people out there who fucking live their lives. They go to work. They pay their taxes, and they want their taxes to go to the right things, and that's why they don't want big government, and that's why, there are good people out there. But you're also, the person sitting next to you is that extremist. The person that's carrying the same Republican banner that you are is carrying that same fucking extremist that believes that the fucking, the Muslims are gonna come get you, and the Mexicans are gonna fucking steal your jobs, and Hillary Clinton, Hillary Clinton has a fucking a child sex ring that's run out of a pizza parlor.
Oh my god, that just
what I'm saying? And that's some InfoWars, Rush Limbaugh shit, because Rush Limbaugh spent so many years. And the whole thing is, when you have a radio show, and the funny, because I learned about Rush Limbaugh, oddly enough, listening to fucking Howard Stern. And I grew up listening to Howard Stern, and I love Howard Stern. And I mean, and I only learned because he would talk about how this crazy, as stupid as crazy as Howard Stern was, he was like, I can't believe all this bullshit Rush Limbaugh's saying. And the whole thing is that when you have a radio show, you have 4 hours every day that you have to fill. Yeah. You have to fill 4 hours of radio every day. And it was one of those deals where, like, he started, I believe it was one of those deals where he started bashing the Clintons, and, like, his numbers spiked a little bit. And so I think that he said, you know what, if I keep talking shit about the Clintons, if I keep, and it doesn't necessarily have to be fact, it could be speculation, it could be repeating the same fucking story over and over again, it could be, and like, he realized he became, in that world of conservative talk radio, he became a fucking superstar in the fucking 90s. And I remember, like, Howard Stern talking about him and how crazy he was and shit like that. And look, Howard Stern suffers from the same thing, when Howard Stern got to fill 4 hours, and that's why they have 50,000, whack packs, the 50,000 interns walking in and talking and shit like that. Because when you spend 4 hours a day on the radio every day in the 90s, when radio DJs still stood 5 days a week on the radio and shit like that, you have time to fucking fill. And I think Rush Limbaugh, I don't know how he started, as in, but I'm saying is, there are probably people who listened to him and wanted to believe him and stuff like that. But when he started to need to fill time and needed to make a boogeyman and needed to make, because that was scaring people, kept people listening and kept the listeners coming in and stuff like that. Howard Stern has lesbians making out and Rush Limbaugh has, let's scare the shit out of conservatives, thinking that, Mexicans are coming to take your jobs, Muslims are fucking destroying this country, yada yada yada. And now he builds such a fucking brand that, Fox News flourishes, and Roger Ailes or whatever, the guy who runs fucking Fox News or whatever, and he's another fucking asshole. But, once again, now they see that there's money being made and scaring people who, let's be honest, you got older people who don't know how to use the internet. You got old people who don't know how to research. You got old people who, people that are old today grew up in a time where they had Walter Cronkite on TV. Walter Cronkite came on at 5 o'clock every day or 6 o'clock every day and told you what was going on. They were taught to listen to and respect and Walter Cronkite was the fucking word of God when he spoke, and he wasn't taking sides. He told the news. And so the thing is that mentality of you trusting your radio person, now these older people, they're not gonna question the media. They're not gonna question the reporter, and the whole thing is, media has evolved, the listener hasn't. And they're believing this boogeyman bullshit that Rush Limbaugh spewed, and Rush Limbaugh was, like they said, he would play music, and he did a whole thing where he read lists of people who died of AIDS and laughed about it and shit like that. Just a fucking detestable fucking human being. He knows what he did was wrong. And the funny thing is that, as soon then him, and super conservative Republican, and they talk shit about drug addicts. They talk shit about, meanwhile, he develops an addiction to OxyContin. And OxyContin is also known as hillbilly heroin. Are you going to beat up addicts now? People with addictions when you yourself are addicted to a fucking drug? I think he went deaf in one of his ears or something like that, or I know he had some sort of hearing apparatus put in his head, but then he gets cancer, and then what happens? This last year or 2 years ago, Trump gives him the Medal of Freedom. Why does the president...
He wanted to it's the same thing with giving a medal to Jim Jordan in silence. Why are you doing that? It doesn't make any sense to give that dude a medal. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second.
Yeah, no, but you're championing for the team. You're one of our guys or whatever. Rush Limbaugh never did anything. What the fuck? Besides, from a pure fucking businessman standpoint. Yes, he had millions of listeners, and once again, he laid the groundwork for conservative talk radio and shit like that. And in another world, that's something to be admired and stuff like that. But he built it pumping fucking horseshit and bullshit into people's fucking minds and ears every fucking day, and to the point where we wouldn't have a QAnon today if it wasn't for if Rush Limbaugh never existed, we wouldn't have a QAnon. People who are so fucking into the frenzy of believing ridiculous fucking conspiracies. If it wasn't for Rush Limbaugh spending 4 hours a day talking shit about the Clintons, and what happened with QAnon? We had fucking people. We had an attempted insurrection of our country because of people being constantly spoon-fed bullshit by a fucking bullshit artist. And like I said, even the president gave him a fucking medal for what? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Does a fucking talk show host get a fucking Medal of Freedom for? Go on.
So I guess you really hate Rush Limbaugh. I got it.
Yeah, I fucking, I hope he fucking burns in hell. I want to piss on his fucking grave. I want to dance on his fucking grave.
Chris. I think we got it. But here, let me. So, first of all, I don't wish anybody to be dead. Okay, not saying that Rush Limbaugh doesn't deserve that, but I just don't wish that on anybody. Number one, I don't think he should have ever won a medal, just for the simple fact of being a radio host. It's the same thing with. I think Trump gave Tiger Woods a medal. I like Tiger Woods, but why did you give him a medal? You know what I mean? It's like you give, Rosa Parks makes sense. John Lewis makes sense. Like these people, you're giving medals to people that have done good and have done things that make our society better. Jim Jordan hasn't done that. Rush Limbaugh hasn't done that. So for you just to do it because, I want to help my little friends out, I'm just I don't get it. I really don't. I don't get it. I think it's stupid. I think that they're basically it was just Trump basically trying to do what he could. It's the same thing with the what am I trying to think here? What is it? The pardons that he had. He's sitting there literally saying, okay, how much money do you want to throw me to pardon you? And I'm just sitting here going, anybody want to say something about that? Because
all those parts, obviously just pure fucking, pay to play, and
it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? I don't think that anybody deserves the Medal of Freedom. Now, as for Rush Limbaugh, while I don't wish death on him, I don't think this dude caused a lot more harm than he did help society in some cases. So, it's just one of those things where I sit there and I go, what do you want me to say? I don't want him dead, but I also don't think the guy was a good human being.
Even at the very least, before he died, it would have been something if, maybe he came out towards the end and said, you know what, I was wrong, and the guy died. He died without a fucking ounce of repenting for his fucking sins. Well, I'm using a religious thing, but I'm saying,
he had cancer, dude. He had a really bad Like he was in stage 4. I don't remember what kind of cancer it was.
And you think that would make you a little more fucking humanity? Like if you see the light at the end of the tunnel, dude, you think, let me start amending the wrongs that I made in my life.
Look, look, Rush Limbaugh was bad, but I hate to say it, but the guy on InfoWars is worse. And
no, absolutely.
And
that's the thing is that
go ahead.
One doesn't exist without the other. You know what I'm saying?
True. But I think like the InfoWars kind of people and the news networks that are showing up online that are doing all these crazy conspiracy theories. Excuse me. It just goes to show that these. How do I want to put this? That it all came from Trump. And I'm gonna kind of talk more about Trump screwing some things up when we talk about another subject, but it's just Trump kind of he screwed a lot of shit up, and he opened the doors for people from these people to basically just be fucking stupid and say these conspiracy theories and just be like, oh, well, this happened and it doesn't, and blah, 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 blah.
And the Newsmax and the OANs.
Yeah. And I'm just like...
And it's funny because the funny thing is, like, even when Fox News decided to grow a fucking pair of balls and stand up to fucking Trump for a couple of things, then he disavows them. The second they're not sucking his dick. Oh, Fox News is, that's all propaganda, Oh, yeah, fucking, you'd go and call and talk to fucking Fox and Friends for 45 fucking minutes in the morning that you've obviously been watching and tweeting along with and shit like that. But the minute they don't fucking suck your dick, propaganda, and then then you go to the third tier and the fourth tier, the OANs and the fucking Newsmaxes and shit like that. Go on, I'm sorry.
No. But that's the point. There is, it's like you look at that and you just go, I don't get it. Like, I don't get how people are like this. It's like this zombie mentality where they just just following along with whatever. You got people in Utah in a I don't know, I think a town in Utah that said that Trump is still my president or something like that, and I'm just like, what? It's like a flag up, and I'm just like, how? Like, are you really like that far gone that you think that? Like, and Rush didn't really help things, and I think that's kind of the problem. He had a very good radio career, but here's the thing: some other idiot is going to come along and be just as bad, or not even, if not worse than him. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but I guarantee you that's going to happen. But I think I think you've destroyed Rush enough. Let's move on to the next subject.
Okay. I don't know. All right. So, talk about fall from grace. And once again, I mentioned before the podcast, I really don't have an opinion on this so much as for Governor Cuomo. Okay, so Governor Cuomo has been accused of, or I guess, found out that he, like, when it came to the COVID deaths, that he wasn't reporting old age home death to help our numbers. Now, here's my one opinion. I'll let you get on in a second. Since he was on such a national stage, he was under a bigger microscope than other governors for other states. And that's he screamed enough till the spotlight shone on him. And what he did was, of course, very, very wrong. But once again, I'm pretty sure what he's doing is being done by a bunch of other motherfuckers, except that the spotlight is on him, so he's going to be under much more sterner. They're going to hold him up to a higher standard because he was on such a spotlight. I'll let you go on.
So, like, I'm not usually one of those people that sits there and goes, well, the media is playing something up too much. But in this case, I feel like I feel like they don't have any news and they just want to push this on him. And the thing is like, there are other states where other governors have done things wrong. For example, the governor in Florida. Let's not talk about nursing homes. Let's talk about the fact that you're underreporting your total numbers of deaths and people that have COVID in Florida. So let me get this straight. We're reporting on a governor that's done everything right except not report nursing home numbers correctly, even though at the end of the day, the total number of deaths in New York State is correct. The total amount of deaths in nursing homes is correct. But because you're not giving the specific data, we're yelling at the governor. Okay. That doesn't rise to an impeachable offense, first of all. Like, some of these Republicans are bringing out the pitchforks and whatever, but they want to just find somebody to poke and prod. It just, to me, like, this is just overblown. And, people will make the point, well, you don't have somebody in a nursing home. Let's go down three things here. First of all, nursing homes. First of all, let's talk about Trump. Number one is Trump. Trump told all these states, and by the way, you can look back if you weren't paying attention at all during COVID, and I'm sure a lot of you were. Just told these states, you do what you need to do. You report it the way that you need to report. Mm-hmm. And,
the same way he wanted those votes.
Exactly.
I don't care how you do it, just give me those votes.
If you remember, Chris, like, the CDC had guidance, but then they ended up changing their guidance, and then New York State changed their guidance as well. So, when it came to nursing homes. So, first of all, it's a confusing time where you have a leader of our country that's not even fucking doing his job and confusing the fuck out of all of these governors. So, I give a lot of leeway to governors, especially Cuomo, for what they've been doing. But then, what is there? So we talk about that. And number two is the nursing homes themselves. The nursing homes themselves didn't do themselves any credit. They refused to do a lot of the policies, like testing their workers as they came in and whatnot. I'm sure you remember that kind of stuff in the beginning, Chris. Yeah. And that doesn't help. That doesn't fucking help anybody. Like, how? Like, you're being told to test your workers when they come in the door. Do the rapid testing to make sure that they don't have COVID, and they're bringing it to the resident.
Yeah, they're already short-staffed. They're already short-staffed enough as it is. Yeah, they're not going to discourage. They're not going to look for reasons to have less employees, and
Well, no, I understand that part, but if you're,
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's what's happening.
right, and so the nursing homes have a lot of blame here too. Mm-hmm. But and then number three, like, who the fuck cares about whatever numbers you're looking for nursing homes? Did the man do his job correct throughout this whole process? Yes. New York State has one of the lowest COVID positive rates now because of him. We lowered the rate because of him. And I give that man a lot of credit. You want to look at somebody that's not doing their job right? I already talked about Florida. Talk about the governor of fucking California. That open, closed shit. To where LA has the most cases, probably has more cases than New York at this point. Like, and by the way, Republican in Florida, Democrat in California. Don't give a shit what party you're in. I'll fucking go up one side of you and down the other if you do your job wrong. Why are we talking about that? You know what I mean? Like, you sit here and you bitch about Cuomo. Why aren't we going after these other governors that don't do their job? Don't put in the masking policies. Don't do the things that they should have been doing all along. Mm-hmm. Like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander here, guys. Come on, like, you know what I mean? Like, do your job. Fucking report on everybody else. Don't just report on the governor that's actually done his job. Like, it's just, to me, it's just very sad, Like, yeah. We're talking about a fucking worldwide. Oh, and the other thing I love. this is, you're gonna laugh about this. So I've said this on Facebook in some of these political posts. So some people in the New York Assembly want to take away his emergency powers. Here's my argument. Why would you take away the emergency powers you gave him because you fucks in the fucking assembly didn't want to do your jobs and haven't been since COVID started, but yet you're going to take his powers away? What's going to happen if there's another outbreak? Are you going to actually do your job? Or are you going to turn to the governor again and be like, oh, here, let me give you your powers back so you can do your job? Like, it just... like, I hate politicians because they're like, oh, well, we need to punish the governor. Punish him for what? Doing his job and he didn't do one thing correct? Look at the other governors in other states and tell me if they did everything 100% correct.
Yeah.
By the way, who was in charge of the government at that time? The federal government. Did he help them one bit? Not really. Not really. He helped for a little bit and then he just stopped. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's you have to look at the whole picture and you can't just be like, oh, well, the governor needs to go because of that. And by the way, I'm not stupid. Most of you motherfuckers want him gone because of all the restrictions he put in place. Wah. Stop your fucking crying. It's like this girl that keeps saying she's sexually harassed, or Cuomo sexually harassed her on a plane. Chris.
Yeah.
Chris, like, every single person that was on that plane was like, we don't know what the fuck she's talking about. We were sitting next to the governor. None of this came up. He never said anything about strip poker. He never kissed this woman. What the fuck is she talking about? Like,
yeah.
Like, dude, stop trying to double and triple down on something when there's witnesses there that are literally saying he didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. So, and news sources and news is reporting on that because Cuomo's been in the news so much, and I'm just like, I don't get it. It's like the media just needs to pay attention to things. And we'll get to one thing that CNN reported on that's here in Rochester. Obviously, we'll get to that in a minute. But like, oh my God, like, stop reporting on stupid shit. And be fair about your reporting. If you're gonna report on that governor, you report on the other governors as well.
Yeah.
So, by the way, I know you'll have a comment about this. Fucking De Blasio was like, "Oh, he bullied me." You're not even doing your fucking job. I know you want to say something about that. He's like, yeah, Cuomo was bullying me, like that other representative Kim, downstate, where he's like, oh yeah, he called me and bitched me out. Where there was apparently, because Cuomo, when Cuomo makes phone calls, he has somebody there apparently, and that person that was there with that aide that was there with him is like, he didn't do anything that the guy said, and I'm just like. So, and that guy's a Democrat, by the way. So, it just makes me laugh when de Blasio's like, well, he's a very mean man. You're not even doing your fucking job. He has to do it for you. like, shut the fuck up, de Blasio. You're about to get beat by Yang. Like, because nobody in New York City likes you. Am I wrong?
Yeah. I mean, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Like, de Blasio, like, what's your thoughts on de Blasio being a little bitch? Like,
he's, look, I don't live in New York City anymore, but it's just like nobody respects him. Nobody fucking likes him. I've watched when I visit New York City, I've watched. As soon as de Blasio was like in office, I went down and, like, if you remember, like that train station by my mom's house, and I went down to the train station and I saw like homeless people living just straight up, like set up fucking camp in the fucking train station, and it's like, and don't get me wrong, I grew up in the 80s where, shit like that fucking happened, but then, I hate to bring it up, but once, I got used to the New York that Giuliani cleaned up.
Yeah. What happened to that, Giuliani?
And to see, like, and then like the next visit or two visits after that, I went, once again by my mom's house. It was just homeless people just camped the fuck out, on the street. And I'm like, I thought shit like this was being fucking taken care of and stuff like that. So, there's this. The guy has his fucking head up his ass, de Blasio. He could, and it's not like, and you think, oh, I bash Republicans and shit like that, and since I'm a Democrat, I'm gonna champion de Blasio. De Blasio could kiss my fucking ass. He's a piece of shit. Yeah. Do your fucking job.
God, I hope Yang wins that race, man. I can't. That motherfucker needs to go, man. Like, he's just not doing his job. And for him of all people to sit there and go, well, did Cuomo beat up on me? Dude, you're not even doing your job. Like, shut the fuck up and go sit down. Yang's and I really hope that it's I'm not gonna go into our mayor here in Rochester, but holy fuck, she's just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah, and if you want to get into that, it's because I know stuff. It happens in Rochester, so I don't know where it is on a national scale. But,
CNN was here today. They were here today.
Like just the other day, from the last episode, we were talking about the cops that pepper sprayed the 9-year-old girl before she got in the car, and once again, that was a couple blocks away from where I live. And now the Daniel Prude thing, which happened a couple blocks away from my old apartment, was a guy once again clearly mentally unstable. Found naked running in the streets.
Yeah.
And the police got him. And I draw a blank on exactly how he died, but he died in police custody.
It was he didn't get enough oxygen to the brain. That's why he died.
Yeah, and and it's just one of those deals, and as much as and I champion the police. I back the blue. I'm a correction officer. I was a correction officer. I have family in NYPD. I've done my law enforcement things here and there. I was an auxiliary cop back in the day. I was I back the blue, but just RPD. really, it's been a clusterfuck with all the shit that's going on. And let me tell you, there was supposed to be, because they acquitted the cops yesterday.
Yeah. And there was a protest. There was a protest last week.
Well, the city was bracing for shit today because I was running errands and they had the fucking partitions out in the street. Like, they were. I'm surprised there wasn't something bigger. Maybe because today's actually the weather was actually halfway decent, but like the city was definitely bracing. The city was definitely bracing for there to be protests and shit like that tonight. So
I mean, like, first of all, thank you for being peaceful. But number two, like, so let me see if I can find. The
cops were acquitted. I don't know if we said it out directly.
Right. Yeah,
the cops are acquitted.
There was an article that actually just came. Yeah, here it is. So expert witnesses called by New York Attorney General told the grand jury that the restraint applied by Rochester police officer was not enough to cause Daniel Pruitt's death. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why they said that. I think that's why they acquitted them and didn't want to bring the grand jury. The autopsy couldn't determine how he died. So basically, the autopsy, like I said, he died of lack of oxygen to the brain, but the autopsy could not determine how that occurred. And I don't know. I don't feel like these officers tried to kill him, because I know that they were trying to. If I remember correctly, they were actually administering CPR to this guy and trying to get him to come back. It's not. And they did get him to come back, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they did. Then they took him to the hospital, and he died a couple days later in the hospital.
It's just not good on the optics.
It's not good on the optics, but
it's fucking Black History Month. Saying, like, I mean, it's so weird that it was around this time last year when that happened, because it was still snow on the ground because he was running naked, and I remember like the video right before, because there was video of like guys hanging out in their car, like filming him running naked down the street, but that was like kids being assholes filming a crazy guy running naked down the street. And it's so weird that like that happened this time last year, just about this time, because it was right before COVID, right before everything fucking shut down.
Right.
And then and it's like, and part of the reason the protests, I mean, then there was of course the George Floyd stuff. So, but in Rochester, it was a double hit. Like in Rochester, we were already still sore from fucking Daniel Pruitt, and then the George Floyd thing happens, and like, that's why like Rochester fucking really got rocked. And it's just so weird that like it fucking happens, and it's like, and of course, once again, it's not like, okay, if the law's the law, you're not going to change it just because it's Black History Month. That's not what I mean. But like, like it adds insult to injury. Yeah. And and then once again, I back the blue, but just guys, Jesus Christ, it's fucking just and Chris Rock has a joke, like he goes, "You think the cops would have occasionally shoot a white kid just to balance the numbers out?" I mean, I hate, and of course that should not happen, but you would think.
it kills me, because it's just like, you guys are striking out left and right here. Can we like, do something here, because you're not making it any easier. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the mayor's not helping, the new police chief isn't helping. All around, everything needs to change, because it's just like, it just doesn't make any sense as to why you're not doing your jobs completely correctly. Now, I have to say, like, I don't think that, like a couple months ago, like the officer spray painted that kid. That was just a bad situation, and unfortunately, could they have handled it better? Yeah, but be honest with you, like, those officers didn't use excessive force. They had to deal with a fucking bitchy ass mother, and that was just
okay. Oh, so you were talking about the pepper spray, because you said spray painted for a second. You fucked me up there for a second. I'm like, did cops spray paint somebody?
No.
I'm not. I don't mean to laugh. Okay, so I'm sorry. I got lost there for a second. I'm like,
it's just very,
is there a story that I missed in the news of a cop spray painting kids?
It's just it's just one of those things where I'm just like, it's like, guys, you're not painting Rochester in a good light, and we just need better leadership from the top down. I just, like, the mayor is going to court, and she's barely in the limelight because she knows she fucked up and she doesn't want to be caught up in things. And I just sit there and I go, if you motherfuckers vote this bitch back in, we are a shitty ass city. Like, I really wish that the people of Monroe County could vote the city of Rochester mayor in, because holy shit, she is terrible. Like, I've never, like, people sit there and they you know, I get some flack sometimes about, well, you just go after Republicans. I'm like, no, I'm not going after just Republicans. Look at my fucking mayor in Rochester. She's shit, and she's a Democrat. Like, how the hell that bitch got the Democratic nomination for her party, for our party, to be mayor in November coming up? I will never fucking know, Chris. I don't get it. Don't fucking get it. You know what I mean? It just does not make sense to me, and I am just, I'm so confused. Like, I don't get why this bitch is even still in office. She didn't handle the Pruitt situation well. She threw her own chief under the bus, which he proved the other day when he had testimony on that live stream. And it just makes me think that, you know, are we that stupid of a city that we're gonna vote this bitch back in? Because if that's the case, God help us. Because no, just get rid of her. Just get rid of her.
Gotcha.
You know, it's
all right. So what are the? Let me see. I'm trying to think of. I have a couple of things here. Let me just shoot through this real quick. Just seeing the Trump Plaza go down in Atlantic City, that was good.
I loved it.
Oh, okay, all right. And here's the big one. Like we've been talking a lot, but okay. And I guess after this, everything else is not really important. But this is, you know, from just something from our last episode. The fucking president was acquitted. And it feels like forever ago but we haven't done a podcast since it happened. And we were still just like we did the podcast like a day before the fucking Super Bowl. Or a couple days before the Super Bowl. Our president was acquitted of the second impeachment. And I've been watching, is it Legal Eagle? There's a guy on YouTube that I watch, and he's a lawyer, and he kind of discussed about how, you know, when it comes to certain proceedings, you know, there's criminal proceedings, and he goes, and there's political proceedings. And political proceedings don't run by the same rules that criminal proceedings run by. And he goes, you know, we're used to TV and TV saying how, you know, this, and we need this, and beyond a reasonable doubt, yada, yada, yada. And like a political hearing, it's almost like, and especially since there's only been a handful of fucking impeachments in the history of the fucking country, that how things are done, and like it's sort of those deals of like fucking, you know, the jury, the people that's supposed to be the jury, the senators and shit like that, were like having sidebars with the fucking lawyers. Well,
there's your buddy Ted.
Yeah, and it's sort of like, you know, it was such an obvious you know, screw job, or, you know, the not screw job, that, you know, Mitch McConnell and stuff like that, talking to Trump's lawyers and stuff like that, and it's one of those deals where it's just like, it's obvious, you know, and you know, was it rushed? Yes, it was rushed. I have a feeling, you know, I can sit here afterwards and say, you know, impeachment was rushed and all this other shit, but, you know, it was rushed because, you know, but then again, it was also held back because Mitch McConnell didn't want to have any fucking hearings until Trump was out of office. But it's sort of like to keep him out of, like, you know, and you know, to impeach him is to keep him from any future. If he tries to, you know, if you know, he gets the bug up his ass and fucking tries to do Trump 2024, I guess now he could if he wanted to. I mean, of course, you know, I would like to believe he'll be behind bars because of, you know, all the states going after him and downstate New York and stuff like that. But it's just one of those deals where I can't believe that, you know, that you know, and it's funny, you know, they say a jury of your peers, you'd be judged by a jury. And once again, that's a criminal court idea that we've gotten so used to criminal court stuff, you know. A jury of your peers. Trump did get a jury by a jury of his peers. A bunch of people who were just as bad as at trying to, like, you know, commit the same crimes that he has, or complicit in his crimes. That of course you're not going to get an honest decision. You're not going to people are going to be voting not in the interest of justice, but also just in their best interest, you know. And there are people these days that they're scared of Trump, or more likely they're scared of his followers. You know, Trump has become such a fucking cult of personality that there's people who are scared, Republicans that are scared to speak out on Trump because they want their support. They want those people's support. And so they're not going to speak ill of Trump. even after everything, even though those people came in the building and could have easily killed Republican senators also, they're terrified of speaking ill of Trump. And so, it just seems like such a fucking letdown that he was acquitted because, I don't think justice was served.
Well,
and,
I mean, you knew that was going to happen. But here's the thing. You had 7 Republicans voting with Democrats to impeach him. There's that. And then, it's just one of those things where it's just like, how do you hold a guy, responsible for these things when, most Republicans don't want to get, basically they don't want to get shot. And I look, I understand that some of them are scared that, something's going to happen, but you got to vote. You got to vote with your conscience, man. You can't just, expect you're going to die tomorrow, because that's probably not the case. But
yeah. And these guys have been putting party before country for the past 4 years. And so, all right. Pretty much everything else we can save. You have anything else you want to do before we go to break?
No, we can go to break.
Okay, and we'll be back with more dick and fart jokes.
This episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast is brought to you by Comics Etc. 1115 East Main and North Goodman at the Hungerford Building, door number 8. Find out more information at comicsetc.biz or like them on Facebook at facebook.com/comicsetc1.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of her.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this movie.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was.
How did you watch this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Victory Championship Wrestling presents Lethal Leap Year, on sale now for $9.99. Don't miss a single body slam or epic moment. Witness the showdown between Big Smooth and Johnny Slaughter for the BCW Championship. Go to bcwaction.com for exclusive events. Only found on bcwaction.com. And as an added bonus, the first 100 people to order this event will receive a free front row seat to the next event.
Hey guys, Future Chris here, editing the podcast, and it turns out Paul warned me that my microphone was getting staticky. I didn't realize how bad it was, so pretty much the rest of the episode sounds like crap. I'm going to leave it in because of posterity reasons, but you've been warned. If you want to continue listening through the whole thing, I greatly appreciate it. If you want to turn it off now, you know all the deals. So if anything, thank you for listening, and here we go with the rest of the show. And we're back. All right, Paul. We had a pretty solid first half of the show. Got through a lot of shit. Not everything I wanted to talk about, but it was a good first half. But let's get to the nerdy news. Let's see. All right. Well, this was actually, I had my notes for the first half. So how was your Valentine's Day?
It was fine. We really didn't do too much. Sure, yeah. COVID being stupid. So, that was already known that we weren't going to do anything because, well, you know what? No, we did. We went to there's a Chinese buffet and barely anybody goes. I mean, there was more people there this time, but I was like, well, you said you wanted Chinese the other day. Why don't we just go and get Chinese? So, you know, we did that. I got her, which is still behind me, a thing of flowers, and like a pot thing, like a square pot thing from Wegmans there. They're actually lasting pretty long. So I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, that was about it. You have a pregnant girlfriend, you get her candy, and then she's dead. So
yeah, like okay,
there
so
you go.
and this was something I was telling you before the episode. Okay, so you know, my Valentine's Day, really nothing to report. Like I said, you know, my daughter's mother's sister was in town, so she had the kid or whatever. And so if I had a date, I would have been able to go out, but I didn't. So I got a thing from Match.com, which I guess I technically still have a profile on there, and they're like, you know, sign up today and get half off, you know, for their deal. So and I've been really trying to want to like not get on because I was watching a couple videos and they're talking about how like dating sites just don't work and like how they're filled with men. So even, you know, for you to even get seen by a woman on a dating site, you know, first just even get seen, not to mention much less be engaged with, you know, where she would decide to write to you of all the other 50,000 dudes that are on the fucking site, you know, and when there's, you know, 3 women and 8,000 men, you know, you know, then she may not even if she does see yours, she may not even want to click on it. And so, and it's like, part of me is like, don't fucking get on a dating site. But I had a moment of weakness because it said like, I have like 3 messages from people, and it's weird because what they do is they tease you. They're like, oh, you have a message from a person, but I can't see the message unless
Yeah, you can't see it until you go onto your account.
Yeah, I can get a pro account or whatever. But you could see the account if I match with the person. So like, I mean, so sometimes like what I'll do is like, you know, when it says you have a message, you go and you look at all your like potentials or whatever, and you just swipe right on everybody. You just click yeah, you know, and then you go and it's, you know, some, you know, 55-year-old 400-pound housewife, you know, and you're like, oh, I said yes all these girls for nothing. And look, and I know that sounds horrible for me to say, you know, beggars can't be choosers. But so, okay, so they sent me this message, get half off for today only, Valentine's Day, yada, yada, yada. So, you know, I'm a person, I'm usually up late at night on the computer. So I would say, you know, much later, about 2, 3, maybe even 4 o'clock in the morning, well past the time, I said, sure, let me sign up. I said, let me just I'm curious to see what those messages are and shit. And so I sign up, or I try to sign up, and like, it goes back and forth because I'm clicking on the link from the email, which is like a legit link, and it keeps trying to give me the discount, but then like it kicks it back because it's past Valentine's Day. It's no longer Valentine's Day. It's like 2 or 3. And even if I was on the West Coast, it's really technically past Valentine's Day because it's like after 3 o'clock in the morning. So, they keep kicking it back to me, and long story short, it didn't get renewed. And I said, you know, it's probably for the better. It was saving me a lot of frustration and shit like that. Yeah, I had my moment of weakness, and luckily, you know, I don't have buyer's remorse. But the funny thing I've noticed is that ever since, because what happens is, you know, these sites, they want to retain you. They will keep sending you spam every day, you know, and meet Joni, and meet, you know, Carla, and meet, you know, Susan, and all this shit. You know, they keep throwing people at you, trying to make you come back, like, you know,
meet Billy Bob.
Meet Bubba. So, but, you know, and I noticed ever since that day, because the weird thing is that like the money got taken out of my account, but then the money got credited back to my account. With you know, like it was so weird, like it was a conflict.
Like, we don't want you.
And so after that, like to this day, like since Valentine's Day, I haven't gotten one fucking piece of spam from Match.com. So like that's one way to get rid of spam, is fucking screw them out of a couple bucks, and then they'll leave you alone. So I thought that was funny. Once again, not really nerdy news, but that doesn't really sit in the beginning of the episode, like talking about like Trump is the devil. Okay, and So we had the Super Bowl. Not that that's really, you and I don't really talk sports anyway, so it's not really a thing. Usually the Super Bowl is the time for all like the really good summer movies. We'll have at least like a teaser trailer or something like that. I watched the Super Bowl because you know what, it's a thing. Everyone in the world is watching it, so I watched it also. The only trailer was for that would apply to like people who like this show was the Falcon and Winter Soldier commercial, and it's sort of like. And I mean, of course, like, pretty much all these things, Marvel and Disney, is like, I'm already going to watch it. You don't have to sell me on any, it's not like I was on the fence. I'm like, okay, I'll check it out now. But, it was cool. And it was in the early part of the Super Bowl. Like, it was maybe the first or second commercial break. So obviously, Disney put a couple bucks to get people interested and stuff like that. Back a couple of weeks ago, each week, WandaVision, I'm online. I will not shut up about WandaVision. I love that show. And, so it was a couple of weeks ago. So people were still on the fence on whether they even liked WandaVision or even fucking had a slight idea what the fuck was even going on in that show. Have you been following it at all, or no? Oh, okay. I mean, it's really good. Yet. I mean, a lot of this stuff, I think the best parts are kind of spoiled now. Like, everyone kind of... Like, if you're online, you'll see memes and stuff like that. So it's one of those deals where, like, you have to watch it Friday. You have to watch it, like, that day, the day it comes out, because... You wait till Saturday or Sunday, and there's a chance. If you don't have a chance to watch it on Friday, let's say you're working, then don't go online because things will be spoiled. But one of the main baddies of the show, the people came out, and I was Agatha. I guess I might as well talk about it because I've seen it all over my timeline. So the character that was Agnes, who's really another character named Agatha Harkness from WandaVision, and how the shows they've done shows that are sort of like I Love Lucy and the Brady Bunch and Malcolm in the Middle and Roseanne, and then the Agatha All Along was sort of like a Munsters, which I thought that was pretty fucking cool. So like I said, yeah, the Super Bowl, I mean, Tom Brady won again. I guess he's that damn good, even to take I don't watch football, but I mean, apparently, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers they were like a shitty team, but like he's such a great, wonderful, fucking sent from heaven quarterback that, he can bring even a shitty team to the Super Bowl on the first year he's there. That was funny. It is funny to see, like a week later when he's totally fucking smashed. But then again, I mean, if you won your 7th ring or whatever and you're in a party town like fucking Miami, go right ahead. But then again, all these dummies are out, no masks. Florida just does not give a shit, And I'm saying with the Super Bowl, just
oh yeah, they're terrible.
No one out, there's no masks whatsoever. People are partying and stuff like that. And and I have friends and family in Florida on our Facebook, and like with all the crazy shit that's going on in Texas, all the people in Florida like, oh, but it was 80 degrees here, it's 80 degrees there. Like, part of me is like, wait till fucking hurricane season, motherfucker. And it's like, nice and not windy up here in New York City, New York, and Rochester or New York State. So just, I mean, it was funny to see him drunk and plastered, but then again, I mean, he's earned it if he wants to get shit faced. But once again, you see other people partying and not a single fucking mask, so it's like, it's just infuriating. Okay. The band Daft Punk broke up, and I mean, yes, I'm not a big fan of their music, and I'm not going to lie, I never claimed to be. I mean, I kind of like their bigger hits, Around the World was sort of like, and the funny thing is, like, you ever see the video for Around the World? Where it's a bunch of people, but it's like a weird video where it's a bunch of people doing moves and like, it's a bunch of performers. I don't know if they're like mannequins or, they don't look like they're like, it looks like mannequins or whatever, kind of like dancing and stuff like that. And like everyone's kind of doing the same moves, but at a little bit of a delay or something like that. And I remember I was on a trip. I was in a hotel room, but I was in a hotel room because I was doing something for a job. I think I was going to like when I was going to be a correction officer, and I'd driven up to Albany like the night before. Like I was going the next day to take like my medical screening up in Albany. So to be at my best, since it was like a 4-hour drive, I said, let me, get to Albany, at a certain time, get a hotel room, get somewhere to sleep, and then I'll get up in the morning, and then I'll go for my medical screening and get there refreshed and everything like that. And it was funny because I that almost didn't happen because my ex didn't want me to be a correction officer, and like she was doing her best to have me keep me in her apartment. Like she was basically saying like, let's screw around and fuck and everything like that. So like I would miss that appointment. So I get to, which after a while I'm like, if I don't go to Albany right now, I'm never gonna make it. Like I almost had to like push her out of the way away so I can fucking go get my job. And but I remember like I'm in a hotel room and I was watching MTV before I fell asleep or before I took my cat nap or whatever. And so then I wake up and it was fucking Daft Punk's Around the World. And this had to be, when I'm talking about this, had to be in 99. That song came out in 97. But, like, imagine being, like, half awake. I'm 300 miles from home, in this weird fucking hotel in the fucking sticks in the middle of Albany's, outside, once you're outside major Albany, like the major, like, downtown Albany, you're in the fucking country. From this little fucking, Bates Motel fucking, and, like, I wake up and I turn on the TV and it was the Around the World video, and I just remember that just really freaking me the fuck out. Like, I'm already half asleep, and then seeing that video didn't help. But I do have to say that their work on the Tron Legacy soundtrack. The Tron Legacy is one of the best fucking soundtracks I've ever heard. As for just being like electronic music, and even though Tron Legacy, like the movie itself, was okay, but the fucking Tron Legacy soundtrack was the fucking bomb. So, and like they say they broke up. Have they really? They're probably just going to go and chill for a couple of years and do what they got to do and raise families and have a good, do the family thing. And after a while, they're going to get sick and tired of their kids, sick and tired of their wives, and going to say, fuck this shit, let's get back on the road where, we could fuck groupies and do fucking tons of drugs every night. So, I mean, technically, they say they broke up. I'm not happy. I'm not sad, but I'm not happy. But, okay, so then... there seems to be all this, people talking about this Willy's Wonderland movie with Nicolas Cage, where it's like him fighting like Chuck E. Cheese animatronic things, which is like loosely, riding on the success of like that video game Five Nights at Freddy's. They said in the movie he doesn't talk through the whole movie, and like you could say, if you could watch it right now for like $20, but like all the reviews are saying like don't fucking pay the $20. I'm getting sick and tired, and like I personally have no issues against Nicolas Cage, but there's these guys like, oh, Nicolas Cage, he's such a ridiculous fucking actor, and like every movie he does is sort of, even when it's so bad it's good kind of shit. And I'm getting sick and tired of that shit. Like Nicolas Cage, my daughter likes scary movies, and we were on Hulu about a week or two ago, and I came across this movie called Mom and Dad, and it came out last year. I mean, I'm pretty sure it would have been a direct-to-video movie like a Willy's Wonderland with Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair, and it was this movie where, if you remember, like the M. Night Shyamalan movie The Happening, where like trees were killing people or whatever, like people started committing suicide for whatever reason. It was because the trees were like releasing pollen or whatever that was making people kill themselves. It was a movie where one day every parent just decide it's sort of like the movie The Happening, where like something triggers them. Oh, it's like if everyone's looking at a TV set and like the TV set goes to static, and the static like makes your brain get confused, and any parent that looks at the video makes them want to kill their kid. And one of the stars of the movie is Nicolas Cage. Like I said, the mom and dad of the movie are Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair. And it was a pretty fucking good movie. And it wasn't like, oh, it's so bad, it's good, in that fucking stupid douchey hipster way that like there's that other movie Mandy with Nicolas Cage where he goes crazy and he has an axe and he's like avenging a girl's death or some shit like that. He's avenging like his dead girlfriend's death or some shit like that. That shit is stupid, but if you do get a chance, see this movie called Mom and Dad with Nicolas Cage. Like I said, Willy's Wonderland, he kissed my ass. Metallica were performing for BlizzCon being the Blizzard, like the people who do World of Warcraft and all that other shit. And every year they have their con, I would say Comic-Con because it's not a Comic-Con, BlizzCon. And so I guess one of those nights' main attractions is they were going to have like a Metallica concert or have Metallica perform music live, and it was streamed. And it's funny because it's Metallica performing music from their studio in San Francisco. Like they call it HQ, headquarters in San Francisco. And and Metallica even performed like on Stephen Colbert the same night as the Super Bowl. And they did Enter Sandman. It's like everyone and their grandmother knows fucking Enter Sandman. But so they were performing at BlizzCon. Now the funny thing is that like they were performing a song, and about 3 or 4 minutes into the song, it transfers over to like this weird like folk music. The stream automatically goes to folk music, and it was because Twitch has Twitch, like YouTube and I think Facebook Live, like they have like content, like the bots listen to the live streams just so you're not playing music and stuff like that. You know, they can stop the stream if they think you're playing copywritten music and stuff like that. So it's not like you could just jump on Twitch or YouTube and just start playing music from off your Spotify, whatever. And so the funny thing is that like here it's fucking BlizzCon. It's the Twitch streaming event at BlizzCon. You know, giant fucking industry thing. And the people running the stream decided to play this weird folk music so the automatic bots wouldn't turn off Metallica playing their own fucking music. And there's a lot of people like, oh, yeah, that's a Metallica. If Metallica doesn't give a shit if their music got stopped to play some folk music because Metallica's getting paid anyway. But they're like, all the restrictions that they got from, Napster and stuff like that when people were streaming and people were downloading their music, and the rules would be so strict if it was for bands like Metallica. And like I said, look, Metallica does not give a fuck. They're getting paid anyway. It's a live performance. It's the people who, and once again, I mean, I'm glad that there's people who care about listening to Metallica. I'm a big Metallica fan. I have 11 Metallica tattoos. But like I said, Metallica doesn't give a shit because they got paid anyway. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't even leave the house. They played at their headquarters, the same way they were playing at the headquarters of Stephen Colbert. They got out of bed, played some music. Okay, so it got stopped on the stream for 30 seconds to play some folk music. Big fucking whoop. Another thing a lot of my friends won't shut up about right now is the Muppet Show. The traditional Muppet Show is coming to Disney Plus. I mean, yes, at the time it was groundbreaking, and I got nothing against the Muppets. I'm not trying to sound like I hate the fucking Muppets or anything like that. I love the Muppets. But like all these people like are rediscovering, oh man, this was so edgy back then, and the one thing I did like is that the first episode is called Sex and Violence, and it's like, why the fuck is the Muppet Show like when episodes have like a title or whatever, and they called it Sex and Violence because Jim Henson was known for years and years and years before the Muppet Show came out for doing Sesame Street. So when the Muppet Show came out, people thought it was going to be like a Sesame Street just on network TV, where Sesame Street was on PBS. They're like, oh, Jim Henson's going to put this shit on he's going to put kids programming for kids on primetime on ABC. And so that's why he named the first episode Sex and Violence, to let people know, no, this is serious. And not that the fucking show got like really raunchy or anything like that, but he kind of wanted to prove to people that no, he wasn't making, let's count to 10 and sing our ABCs. With puppets and shit like that. So, and of course the Muppets were groundbreaking. I mean, I grew up like watching like the Muppet movies and the Great Muppet Caper and Follow That Bird and stuff like that. So, I'm definitely the demographic. I mean, I will check it out. Some other people, I guess, my friends listen a little more like they really love that nostalgia of the Muppets, and I'll get to it when I get to it. Jim Henson was a dirty hippie, but I guess people loved him. Disney, speaking of Disney, they had released their trailer for the Cruella live action movie, and like they're doing with other like they did with Maleficent, and they did with Snow White. No, as a Maleficent, Snow White. Well, they're making these movies where they're making live action movies where they're almost like prequels, and it's sort of like it's supposed to make the bad guys look like they're not bad, or why they did the bad things they did. So it shows, and it's Emma Stone as Cruella before she was, what's the word I'm looking for? Before she was, before she turned evil, and she was like, fashion student and stuff like that. And so a lot of people are comparing this to Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, where they're saying like, oh, this is just Emma Stone doing Harley Quinn. I don't necessarily see that. Okay, so you see a woman that looks all crazy and disheveled and running heists and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, it feels like a bit of a stretch to say that it's like Harley Quinn. I don't think they're going to try to redeem her the same way like Maleficent was definitely a movie where they try to redeem the bad guy and stuff like that. So, I mean, if it's on Disney Plus, and I already have Disney Plus because I have my boss's account, yeah, I'm going to watch it. I'm curious. But, all these people are like, oh, it's Harley Quinn, it's Harley Quinn. I don't, you're reaching way too fucking hard to try to make that connection. Okay. Growing up, and with having an older brother who was into rap back before it was called hip hop, when it was still called rap. My brother was a big fan of this group called the Fat Boys, and needless to say, I have to say that I myself also was a fan of the band the Fat Boys and had Fat Boys albums and Fat Boys cassettes and stuff like that. And of the Fat Boys, there was the three main guys was Prince Marky D, the Human Beatbox, and oh my goodness, I forgot the name of the third guy. It'll come to me in a second. But so Prince Marky D, the light-skinned Puerto Rican member of the group, because the other two guys are black, Prince Marky D passed away a couple days ago, and it's really sad because, it's like another part of my childhood is dying and stuff like that. And the Fat Boys were kind of the goofy, where other bands were trying to talk about how cool they are and suave and stuff like that. The Fat Boys had songs about eating and I mean they had songs about falling in love, and they had songs about going to jail, and they had songs about like they're fat guys but they're spies like 007 and stuff like that. They did their weird version of the Fat Boys of like the Twist, like Chubby Checkers, the Twist, and the Beach Boys Wipeout and stuff like that. Like they were like the party band. They were the band that don't take us too seriously. They put out a great movie. If you've never seen the movie Disorderlies, I highly recommend it. It's really, really funny where they play orderlies, and they're like the worst orderlies like in the country. And this one guy who's waiting for his uncle to die so he could get his inheritance, he hires them hoping that they will bungle their way into killing him so the guy could get his uncle's inheritance. But the movie itself is so fucking funny, and and it's more than just like fat jokes and stuff like that. And of course there's the whole like once they get the old rich guy to start like, hey, step off, homeboy, and stuff like that. I mean, it's kind of that corny 80s rap thing going on. But it's definitely worth a watch. Disorderly. If you get a chance to watch it, it's really fun. If anybody who's a fan of the game, anyone who's a fan of the show Ash vs. the Evil Dead, that was on Showtime, but it's also on Netflix right now. They are releasing an Evil Dead game for all the platforms, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and all of them. I have a gigantic crush on Diana DiLorenzo. She's the female lead on the show. I don't know, she's just cute. So, and she's in the game. She does the voice for her character. In other news, on the set of Jackass 4, and I can't believe they're actually recording a Jackass 4. And I guess they did those grandpa movies with Johnny Knoxville and shit like that. So, is it Bad Grandpa? I think it was. So now they're doing a Jackass 4. Bam Margera was actually kicked off the set of Jackass 4 because they were saying that he had his drugs, his drug habit, he has a drinking habit, and I'm like, how fucking off the wall do you have to be for the guys to Jackass to fucking kick him out, and they were talking, they've talked to Steve-O about, I watched a clip with Steve-O talking about it, and he was like, and then Bam put out a couple of videos himself, and he's clearly fucking roasted out of his mind. And and I was a big fan of the show like Viva La Bam and stuff like that, so it breaks my heart to see like a guy, and of course, and look, they were obviously doing drugs even back then, but between partying in your teens, partying in your 20s and doing drugs, and like partying in your late 30s, now you're doing irreparable damage to your body. Your body doesn't bounce back the way it used to. And then like even Bam Margera was sort of like, oh, if you guys send me, if you're gonna go see Jackass, don't see Jackass, just send me $1. If all the millions of people who like Jackass send me $1, and I can make a movie that's 10 times better than Jackass. And it's like, he looks like he's all fucked up, and it's like, dude, I don't want to see you fucking get hurt or die or something like that. You still have a chance to fucking, get yourself clean and stuff like that. Hopefully he'll wake up. I mean, it's weird because you think like they talk about Steve-O, like Steve-O's been clean for like over 10 years now and shit like that, which is weird. It breaks my heart to see that, Bam Margera is sort of like, and once again, I love Viva La Bam. I bought the fucking DVDs for that show, and, to see him, and the funny thing is, and then he's doing drugs and he's getting fat and he's starting to turn into his dad. You see like he's really starting to look like his dad. And speaking of fat old guys, Larry Flint passed away. Growing up in the age right before the internet ever happened, and actually looking at pornography in magazines. I like to thank Larry Flint personally for Hustler magazine. When you were a kid growing up, I mean, your dad probably had like Playboys and stuff like that, and he might have had Hustlers and shit like that. I mean, there were ones worse than Hustler, but Hustler was like the dirty one, like where Playboy had like Playboy was artsy, and it was like, and there were articles about how to set up your stereo at home, and interviews with like George Clooney. Like, who gives a shit about that? Hustler was like, here's the inside of a woman's vagina. And that was sort of like their go-to shot of like a woman like holding her lips open and shit like that. As a boy growing up during that time, I like to thank Larry Flint for his contributions to all things like that. There wouldn't be a Two Strangers One podcast if it wasn't for Larry Flint. And of course, if you haven't seen it yet, see the movie The People versus Larry Flint with Woody Harrelson and Courtney Love. And it's weird because Courtney Love, who I still to this day think had something to do with Kurt Cobain killing himself, if he did indeed kill himself. But she's really good in that movie. She's a good actress. When she's playing a fucking cracked out junkie who gets HIV. If you get a chance, and it's all about the legal troubles. And of course, in the movie and Larry Flint is in the movie. The actual Larry Flint, he plays one of the judges. So obviously, if they're making a movie with the guy in it, they kind of like gloss over all of his sins and stuff like that. Like, we're gonna make it look bad, but we're not gonna like tell the whole fucking ugly truth about your life. So it was a little revisionist history. But if you get a chance, if you haven't seen it, go watch The People versus Larry Flint, because it's about him fighting for First Amendment rights, and then there's a whole trial where he makes fun of Jerry Falwell, this very famous preacher, and then the preacher goes after him, and then he's sort of like saying that, like, obviously if I'm making fun of him, he's a public figure, and freedom of speech says we can make fun of public figures. He's that famous, so if we could say that he's having sex with his mom, obviously the guy has a reputation. He's not having sex with his mom. It's satire. It's parody. It's So once again, we owe Larry Flint a debt of gratitude. And last but not least, Paul and I, we were talking about, in this gig economy where people are sitting at home, people don't have jobs, the rise of these OnlyFans sites, and there's these things where these girls do this thing called a dick rating. Because when you're a girl on the internet and you show pictures of yourself and you're taking pictures in your underwear, or taking pictures in bathing suits, or maybe you're naked but you're covering your nipples and your vagina, whatever. You tend to get a lot of guys sending you dick pics because I guess they're trying to either impress you or they think that's a way to get your attention and stuff like that. So now what these girls have done is they've smartened up and have started doing this thing called dick rating, where it's like, okay, sure, send me a picture of your dick and I'll give you an opinion. I'll give you I will rate your dick, but if you're going to send me a picture of your dick, it's going to cost you $75. So I guess like if a guy sends them an unsolicited dick pic, they're like, look, I will respond if you send me $75. And I mean, I don't know any guy that's that fucking desperate, but I guess if you're the kind of guy that's compelled to send a picture of your dick to a fucking Instagram model, or one of those girls, they do the free promotion on Instagram, then they promote their OnlyFans site. I guess you can you can send a picture of your dick without getting in trouble, and they'll actually tell you if it's good or bad or not for $75. So that's it, Paul. You still there, brother? Oh, okay.
I am still here, yes.
Oh, okay. Did I have you muted, or were you muted? Oh, okay. Gotcha.
No, I'm muted.
I thought I had you muted there. Okay, so let's wrap this up. That's what she said. Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net and .com. You can find links for everything show related. You can find links to our iTunes page if you have an iPhone, an iPad, or iPod. You can download us there. If you don't have an iPhone, iPad, or iPod, you can find us on, if you have an Android device, you can download us on the Stitcher app. That's STITCHER, the Stitcher app for Android devices. And, of course, every podcast worth listening to is on Stitcher, including Paul's other baby, Tsunami Faithful Podcast, all available on the Stitcher app. Or you can go right to the source. You can download us and listen to us on SoundCloud, the SoundCloud app. You could download right then and there. For whatever reason, if you don't have data, whatever the case may be, you could download the individual episodes. I make them available for download on that. We want your money. We need your money, but until I set up our own OnlyFans or Patreon or something to that effect, you can find us on Facebook /Two Strangers One Podcast, all spelled out once again, we want your money, we need your money, but it just takes 2 seconds to like and subscribe. Just like the page, share the page, like the episode, share the episode, to show your support for the show. The more listeners, the better. And then when we do start a Patreon, then we'll have people give us money for doing this. Let me see. If you want to write us, you can write us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com, all spelled out. And before the episode, I checked, and once again, no Oscar letters. I'm surprised. No Oscar letters. But you can write to us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook for any of the episodes that aren't on SoundCloud for the past 4 years, a little over 4 years. You can go and find older episodes. So once again, we're hitting 9 years in about a month, March, April. So you could listen to like 5 years, not including the 4 years on SoundCloud. You can listen to all those episodes on YouTube. Just search for YouTube, search for Two Strangers One Podcast, and on our YouTube page you have links to our. You have my Stranger Vlogs on YouTube. You have my albums. I make electronic music under the name XLNYC. You can find my audiobook, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road. And of course, the first 5-6 years of Two Strangers One Podcast all uploaded on there before we switched over to SoundCloud. And you can find us on Twitter at Stranger Podcast. And I can't think of anything else. I acquiesce the producer. And that was a chair, not me.
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Paul Viscrillo. You can email me, paul@toonamifaithful.com. And like Chris said, I am on the Toonami Faithful podcast, so please do check that out. And that's all right. About it.
Well, we certainly hope you guys enjoyed listening, had as much fun as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers One Podcast. I'm Chris. Don't be a stranger.
I'm Paul.
Right. Oh. You should be fapping. Shut up, Ziggy.
All right, here we go, man. Go ahead. You want to read
Double Jackpot.
What is it?
It is a self-published book by Christopher Cologne.
Chris Cologne? Smells good to me.
But
look at her. That broke that fucking cold little exterior. He's like, hee.
But it is spelled Colon.
Him punny.
But Double Jackpot is a book about a comic book artist, Eric, who is in a loveless relationship with a materialistic
I feel you, Eric.
Lynette.
Fucking, are you sure I didn't write this? Sounds hauntingly familiar.
He starts cheating on his girlfriend with a more creatively supportive woman, Nadia.
Well, I gotta meet her. Where's the Nadia?
There's your summer girlfriend.
Summer Nadia is Nadia.
Nadia?
Yeah, I think Nadia is spelled with an A.
All right.
Both Lynette and Nadia play the double jackpot, the largest payout in lotto history, much like the recent Powerball. Both girls play his birth date as the winning numbers. Eric is now stuck between two of the country's richest women. Who will he choose? It's not that simple. This is a clever fucking idea, man.
Is.
Look at her, fucking. She's impressed.
I am.
She got some summer reading. Christopher Cologne smells real lovely with an original idea. This is. I've never heard this before.
I haven't either. This is a self-published book, much in the indie spirit as Kev's Clerks.
Oh, you don't even need to name check me. This is just a good idea. You could stand on your own, man. You don't even have to be like, hey, remember Clerks? This is nothing like that. This is way more original than Clerks. This is a good idea, man. Why didn't I think of this?
I need something to read. This book is part of the Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games Trilogy Book 2. Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, coming soon.
Right on, man. It's part of a trilogy. This is the first part.
Way to write, man.
He's seeking a literary agent. Motherfuckers, anybody out there? There ain't no literary agents listening to this show, I assure you, sure. I assure you, sure. But somebody know a literary agent? Hook a motherfucker up! Chris Cologne come up with an original idea. I should tell Raskin. That's a good fucking idea, to be honest with you. That's a fucking rom-com right there. Megan, get Raskin on the phone. Isn't it possible to get Raskin on the phone? No?
Yeah.
I want to run it past him, man. And if it happens, I get a taste, Chris Cologne. I get a whiff, if you will.
The book could also be ordered on www.xlnYC.com. LULU.com.
That's Lulu.com.
I understand that. I just wanted to spell it out.
Normally one says it, that spells it. Still, Lulu.com. What is that? Do you know what it is?
I don't know. All right. The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com. Search for Double Jackpot Christopher Cologne. A paperback version of the book is $15, and a PDF file is only $5.
$5 is
Yeah.
insanely inexpensive. 15's not even that bad for a paperback version.
No.
This is $1 million idea right here. Like a movie about a dude who fucking is stuck between two chicks, both of who play his birthday and win the lottery. Come on! I can see that trailer. Chris Cologne is on to something. Nobody else can smell it but me.
I'll read it.
Thank you. I'm going to make that smelly joke.
I know. You're trying to get me to laugh again.
It worked once. Double Jackpot is a self-published book by Chris Cologne, man. It's the first book in his comic books, heavy metal, video games trilogy. Book 2, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, should be coming out soon. Get all the information at Chris Cologne, like a motherfucker.
I
and
will
his
totally
book,
read this.
Double Jackpot. I'm serious. I'm going to recommend that to fucking Raskin. How is that not a movie? You know what I'm saying? This could be a sexy movie. You could do an R-rated version. There could be nudie in it, and you could show them fucking both chicks. Maybe a little penetration. Maybe a butthole shot. No butthole, no care.
I would like to formally apologize to Christopher Cologne right now.
No, sex sells. Chris Cologne will appreciate that. He's like, thanks for throwing a few buttholes in there, man.
Don't forget to check out twostrangersonepodcast.net, your one-stop resource for everything show-related. You can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher. You could also find links to buy my book, Double Jackpot, on twostrangersonepodcast.net.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.